Power, it is an invisible current. It shapes our world, yet we rarely see its true workings. The mechanisms are hidden, obscured by noise and distraction. Many desire power. They chase its fleeting shadow, but few grasp its fundamental nature, its cold, hard truths. The rules of this game are ancient. They are timeless, passed down through whispers, not in textbooks. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, a book, a guide, some say, to this hidden world. It lays bare the strategies, the deceptions, the brutal realities of control. Greene compiled these laws from history, from the courts of kings, from the minds of strategists. He presents them without apology, a stark mirror to human ambition and its often dark pathways. The book is controversial. Many call it cynical, a manual for manipulators. Others see it as essential wisdom, a defense against those who would wield power, wield it against you. It does not judge, it merely describes the way power has always operated, beneath the surface of events, behind the polite facades of society. It is a challenging read. It forces uncomfortable questions. These laws, they are not relics of a distant past. They are alive. They pulse through modern life, through boardrooms, through social media, and, most visibly, through politics, the grand stage of power. We see their echoes in the rise and fall of leaders. In The Strategies of Nations, this essay will explore one such modern drama, one figure, through this ancient lens. Donald Trump, a name that commands attention. He arrived on the political scene, not as a seasoned politician, but as an outsider, a disruptor. His background was not in senates or state houses, it was in skyscrapers, in television studios. Few in the establishment took him seriously. At first, his ascent was a shock. It defied predictions, it shattered assumptions. He spoke a different language, he played by different rules, he tapped into something, a current of discontent, a desire for change, a yearning for a different kind of leader. The connection between Trump's methods and the 48 Laws of Power, it is striking. Too striking to ignore. Law by law, principle by principle, one can see parallels. In his public pronouncements, in his political maneuvers, in the way he handled allies and enemies, it's as if the ancient strategies found a new modern vessel, a new stage for their timeless drama. Understanding this can be illuminating. This is not to say Trump read Greene's book and followed it chapter and verse. The laws describe patterns, human behaviors that have led to power throughout history. Whether these patterns are learned or intuitive, they exist, they are potent. Trump, a master of instinct and branding, seemed to embody many of them. He seemed to understand their raw effectiveness in a media-saturated age. Our purpose here is to decode, to analyze, not to endorse, not to condemn, but to observe, to understand the mechanics of power as they played out. We will look at specific laws about concealing intent, about courting attention, about crushing enemies, about unpredictability, about cultivating a following, about creating spectacles, about the rhetoric of change. By examining these dynamics, we can gain insight not just into one political figure, but into the nature of power itself in the modern world, how it is sought, how it is wielded, and how it can be understood. The game of power is always being played. Sometimes its players are more visible, more audacious. Understanding their playbook is more crucial than ever, for all of us. Law 3, conceal your intentions. This is a vital rule in the game of power. Greene states it plainly. Keep people off balance, unsure. If they do not know what you truly aim for, they cannot mount a defense, they cannot predict your next move. Your true intentions must remain a closely guarded secret, a shadow they can never quite grasp. Trump's early political forays, they often seemed exploratory, almost casual. Talk of running for president spanned decades, often dismissed as mere publicity stunts. Was this a deliberate veil, a way to test the waters without revealing the depth of his ambition? The establishment rarely saw the true emerging threat until it was too late to simply ignore this strategy of concealment. It bred confusion among rivals and commentators. They struggled to define him, to pinpoint his actual platform. His core beliefs often seemed to shift. Was he a serious contender or a fleeting showman? This ambiguity was a shield. It deflected serious scrutiny for a crucial period. His ultimate endgame remained elusive to most. The effect was disorienting. Opponents wasted energy, chasing phantoms, debating intentions he never truly confirmed. His true strategic objectives were kept under wraps. This allowed him to build momentum quietly beneath the surface noise, while others debated his carefully crafted persona. The real work of amassing power continued unseen. Section 2, Smoke Mirrors and Soundbites. Concealing intentions often involves decoys, red herrings, false trails laden with suggestion. Greene emphasizes this aspect. Guide your enemies down the wrong path. Make them believe you want one thing while you diligently pursue another entirely. This careful misdirection is key. It ensures your true path remains clear of major obstacles. It keeps your actual goals safe from preemptive strikes. Trump's communication style is a masterclass in this. His tweets, his rally pronouncements, often controversial, often inflammatory. They captured headlines and dominated news cycles relentlessly. Were these spontaneous outbursts of emotion, or carefully crafted distractions designed to mislead? While the world reacted to one apparent fire, he was perhaps stoking another elsewhere, unnoticed by the crowd. The main event hidden by the sideshow. Consider his shifting policy stances on healthcare, on foreign entanglements, on trade. Positions seemed to evolve or reverse rapidly at times. Pundits called it inconsistency, a lack of ideology. But could it have been strategic ambiguity, a way to keep everyone guessing always, preventing any single faction from feeling too secure, or from effectively countering his unstated, real objectives? He kept his options open, his true plans hidden. This relentless barrage of noise served to exhaust his critics considerably and obscure his true intentions from public view. They were constantly on the defensive, reacting, responding to the latest outrage, the newest soundbite. This left little room or energy for deeper analysis of his underlying strategic movements or his final goals. The smoke was thick, the mirrors well placed, intentionally. Section 3. The illusion of impulse. An air of spontaneity can be the ultimate disguise for careful planning. If actions appear impulsive, few will suspect a hidden design. The world sees a maverick, not a meticulous planner. This perception conceals true intentions. Trump's unfiltered image served a strategic purpose. It made his moves seem reactive, not premeditated. This disarmed many observers and opponents. By the time his objectives crystallized, it was often too late. The ground had already shifted beneath their feet. His concealed intentions achieved their aim. Quietly, powerfully, decisively. Section 1. The Unseen Magnetism. Law 6. Court attention at all cost. Greene insists it is better to be slandered, attacked, than to be ignored, overlooked by the powerful. Obscurity is a kind of death in the courts of power. Attention in any form is lifeblood. It is visibility. It keeps you in the game. It makes you a factor. Even negative attention can be twisted, used. It proves you are significant, worthy of notice. Donald Trump understood this principle deeply. Perhaps it was instinct, honed over decades. His career before politics was built on this foundation, skyscrapers bearing his name in giant gold letters. Reality television shows centered on his persona, his power. He was never an anonymous force behind the scenes. He craved the spotlight. He knew its immense value. He understood that to be known is to be considered. He transferred this understanding directly to politics, an arena often valuing decorum, measured statements. Trump chose a different path, a louder one. While other candidates sought endorsements, policy depth, he sought the camera's lens, the reporter's microphone. Controversy was not an unfortunate side effect for him. It was a deliberate strategy, a tactic to ensure all eyes remained fixed firmly upon him. The media landscape, he read it perfectly. He knew its relentless hunger for novelty, for conflict, for drama. He provided an endless supply of all three daily, and in return the media provided him with endless coverage. Bad press, good press, it hardly mattered. In the end, it all contributed to the same outcome, more attention. His name was always on the lips of commentators, of voters. His rivals struggled to break through the noise he created. Section 2. Engineering the echo chamber. Attention is rarely a gift given freely. It must be actively pursued. Sometimes it must be manufactured. Greene advises creating a stir, making your name notorious. Trump engineered conditions for constant visibility. He demanded attention. His rallies were spectacles designed for impact, for viral moments. Social media became his megaphone, bypassing traditional media. Outrage travels faster than reasoned debate. He set the agenda. He used this dynamic ruthlessly, writing new rules. Section 3. The Relentless Glare. This unwavering pursuit of attention, it carries risks. Constant scrutiny can expose flaws. Slander can take root. A person can become a caricature defined by their critics, but for Trump, this relentless glare seemed to be fuel. He often absorbed attacks and reflected them back, magnified. He portrayed criticism as proof of his outsider status, evidence that he was fighting against a corrupt establishment. The attacks only made his supporters more loyal, more defiant. He achieved a level of media saturation rarely seen. His actions, his words, his very presence dominated news cycles, not just for days or weeks, but consistently, for years. He became the central protagonist in the ongoing political drama. Other important stories, other candidates, other policy debates often struggled to find the oxygen to gain public traction. He sucked up all the available light and attention, leaving little room for anything or anyone else. This constant bombardment of Trump, it had a strange effect. It seemed to exhaust his opponents and the public. It normalized statements and actions that once seemed unthinkable. What might have been a career-ending scandal for another politician often became just another headline in the Trump saga. The sheer volume of controversies created a kind of immunity, a new baseline for acceptable political behavior. He stretched the boundaries continuously and successfully. Ultimately, he made himself impossible to ignore. Whether you admired him or detested him, you were compelled to pay attention, to react. This was the absolute embodiment of Law 6, to be talked about, to be seen, to occupy prime mental real estate at any and all costs. This was not just a tactic, it was the central pillar of his entire strategy. He achieved this goal with undeniable and lasting success. Section 1. The Imperative of Annihilation, Law 15, crush your enemy totally. This is perhaps the most brutal of Greene's pronouncements. It advises a leader to show no mercy to a defeated foe, for an enemy left wounded will eventually recover. Trump's approach to his adversaries often seemed to embody this. He did not merely aim to defeat them in an election or a debate, he sought to dismantle their credibility, their public standing. This was not about polite disagreement or policy differences, it was about political survival and dominance, total dominance. The tools for crushing an enemy in the modern age are not swords or cannons, but words, images and narratives. Trump wielded these with an almost instinctive mastery. He understood the media's hunger for conflict and character assassination. His rallies became arenas for the public denunciation of his foes. His Twitter feed, a relentless barrage against anyone he deemed hostile. His words were designed to inflict maximum damage, quickly. The use of mockery and derision was a key tactic. It served to diminish his opponents in the eyes of his followers, and perhaps in their own eyes too. This was not about winning arguments with logic or facts. The act of crushing an enemy totally serves a dual purpose. It removes the immediate threat, clear and simple, but it also sends a powerful message to all who are watching. This creates an aura of fear, an atmosphere of intimidation. Potential future enemies may think twice before stepping forward. Trump's relentless attacks, even on former allies who later became critics, reinforced this message repeatedly. Loyalty was demanded, but even past loyalty offered no permanent shield. If you crossed him, you became fair game for total destruction. This created a chilling effect within his own sphere of influence and beyond it. Law 17. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Humans are creatures of habit. They crave patterns, predictable behavior. Unpredictability shatters this. It creates unease. If others cannot guess your next move, they cannot prepare a defense. This is the unsettling advantage of the unexpected, a potent tool in the arsenal of power. Donald Trump was not a conventional politician. Greene observes that unpredictability can terrorize. Sudden, inexplicable changes in behavior keep observers on edge, constantly guessing. This state of heightened anxiety is a weapon. It wears down an opponent's resolve and their focus. It forces them to second-guess their own judgments. A calculated pattern of randomness can be devastating, more so than predictable aggression. Often, Trump's use of Twitter exemplified this principle. A sudden early morning declaration could set the agenda. An unexpected attack on a previously ignored target, a surprising endorsement, or a sudden withdrawal of support. Unpredictability, for all its unsettling qualities, can also be strangely compelling, even attractive. It sets a leader apart from the mundane, the scripted. It suggests a mind unfettered by tired conventions. For a certain segment of the populace, this is exciting. It can be seen as a sign of dynamism, of strength, a leader who is truly their own person, not a puppet. This was a key part of his appeal to many. Many of Trump's supporters valued this very quality. They saw his unpredictability not as a flaw, but as proof that he was not a typical politician. He was an authentic disruptive force, they believed. Law 27. Create a cult-like following. People have an overwhelming desire to believe in something, anything. Become the focal point of that desire. Offer them a cause, a new faith to follow. Keep your words vague but full of promise. Emphasize enthusiasm over rationality and clear thought. This is the path to a devoted, unshakable base of support, a core that will defend you against all attacks without question. Trump offered a vision: make America great again. It was simple, it was powerful, it was deeply resonant for many who felt left behind or unheard or disrespected. Section 2, Forging the Faithful. Greene emphasizes the importance of rituals and, collective activities. These bind followers together, create a potent shared experience. They reinforce group identity and unwavering commitment to the cause. Repetitive slogans, powerful chants. Section 3, The Fortress of Belief. Once a cult-like following is established, it becomes remarkably resilient. Criticism often strengthens belief. Attacks on the leader are seen as attacks on the group. This reinforces the US versus them narrative, making followers cling to their beliefs. The leader becomes the ultimate arbiter of truth for loyal followers. His words carry more weight than any expert or institution. This creates a closed information loop where dissenting voices are silenced. The narrative is constantly reinforced by the leader and fellow believers. This unwavering faith provides the leader with formidable power and support, a fortress of belief, impervious to the harsh realities of the outside world. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles, striking imagery, grand symbolic gestures. These are the tools of this powerful law. People are swayed by what they see. Visuals bypass rational thought, stirring emotions deep within the primal brain. Donald Trump, a lifelong showman, mastered the art of spectacle. His rallies were meticulously produced events designed for maximum impact. Powerful music, dramatic lighting, and grand entrances created unforgettable experiences. The spectacle magnified his image, making him seem larger than life. Robert Greene observes, spectacles can easily overshadow reality. They can become the new reality. What people see is what they believe. Grand gestures substitute for action. Symbols become potent. The image becomes the message. Performance is policy. Trump's presidency was filled with staged moments. The White House was a theatrical backdrop. Signing ceremonies became grand affairs. Border wall prototypes were visual statements. Emotional displays resonated with supporters. Spectacles affirmed his perceived strength. He was seen as a dynamic leader. The spectacle reassured he was in command. Media extensively covered these events. Visual drama dominated news cycles. The spectacle became the narrative. Trump fed the media with compelling images. The Gospel of Disruption. Law 45. Preach change, but don't reform too much. People desire change, but fear chaos. Habit provides security. Too much novelty is traumatic. Leaders must balance change and stability. Trump's radical change message resonated deeply. Make America great again, a call for sweeping transformation. He positioned himself as the lone outsider, a decisive break from the past. His rhetoric resonated with many. They viewed the system as broken. They yearned for a strong leader. His words were a declaration of intent, a vision of revolutionary upheaval. He promised to rebuild entirely. Institutions were failing the people. Elites were out of touch. He alone could fix it. This was his compelling sermon, the promise of radical change. Robert Greene's law warns, preach change with passion, but be cautious with sweeping reforms. Too much change breeds instability and resistance. Surface-level changes can satisfy the public while preserving stability. Trump's reforms often operated within the existing framework. His actions created the sensation of transformation without altering deep structures. The fundamental architecture of governance largely persisted. He offered the spectacle of revolution without radical reform. We have journeyed through a landscape of power and its intricate rules. Robert Greene's laws offered a map. Trump's ascent, a vivid illustration. These principles live in our contemporary world. They animate those who seek control. Understanding this is the beginning of clarity. The timeless echoes of strategy resonate still. Understanding power psychology is vital for navigating modern complexities. Media saturation and information warfare are constant. Leaders employ these principles daily. Recognizing strategies demystifies their impact. It allows for critical engagement and informed judgment. This is crucial for a healthy democracy. Stay vigilant and decode power's enduring song.